Okay. Well, hello everyone, and welcome to this month's Chamber Chat. We are coming to you live at the Greater Palm Bay Chamber of Commerce. We have changed it up. We were going to be talking about change, but because of everything that's going on, we wanted to bring you information that will be helpful for your business. Please feel free to send questions that you may have. If you go to Greater Palm Bay Chamber of Commerce, we can get you on the webinar today. But if you're just watching from your Facebook page, then we are definitely, you'll be able to send some questions, and Carolina will help me here with questions that you might post on Facebook. My name is Nancy Pelton, and I'm President and CEO of the Greater Palm Bay Chamber of Commerce. So we have actually two guests. We've split this into two half-hour segments. And so the first half an hour, we're going to have Johnette Gindling with the Space Coast Health Foundation, along with Rob Rains, the Executive Director of United Way. And then the second half, we will have Kevin Chancellor, who is with Edward Jones, with his own agency. So we'll get some information about the stock market and what you can look at. I know everybody's kind of in a panic mode right now with a number of things with both our businesses, finances. It just seems like the whole world is coming to a stop for us, but I just wanted to share this with everyone because it's rather important for small businesses. So I will just read a few paragraphs of it. But Governor Ron DeSantis has activated the Emergency Bridge Loan program for small businesses impacted by the COVID-19. It is a bridge loan program, which is managed by the Florida Department of Economic Opportunity, the DEO. They will provide short-term interest-free loans to small businesses that experience economic injury from COVID-19. The application period has opened now and will run through May 8th, 2020, as it stands right now. The short-term interest-free loan helped bridge the gap between the time the economic impact occurred and when a business secures other financial resources, including payment of insurance claims or long-term SBA Small Business Administration loans. Up to $50 million has been allocated for the program. Small business owners are considered those with 2 to 100 employees located in Florida. Impacted by COVID-19, they can apply for short-term loans up to $50,000. So we are putting all this information on our Facebook page, the Chamber's Facebook page. It will be on our website as well, but we keep trying to send it out. Carolina's doing an amazing job. This Carolina Rojas, by the way, and she is our Chief Technical Officer. But she's getting all of that out there and actually helping with our live streams, because we want to make sure that we are still reaching out to our members, that we are bringing helpful information tomorrow on our chamber chat. So instead of monthly, we're going to have them as often as we can. Our Florida representative, Randy Fine, will be our guest for, I'm not sure how long he'll be able to stay on, but we do have him scheduled at 2 o'clock. So join us live tomorrow as well. And like I said, we'll continue to bring you updates on what is happening, closures, recommendations, and resources that are available, because I think one of the biggest concerns for our businesses and employees are, you know, if things are shutting down, how are they going to be able to afford to pay for bills, and you know, what's the impact long term. So whatever we get, we will send out to you. So please, like I said, check out the Greater Palm Bay Chamber of Commerce Facebook page, and thank you for joining us today.
And if you have any questions, please write them down here in our live page, or on Facebook Live if you want to share that event in your personal pages. So we will know what the businesses are needing, because we're encouraging everybody to fill the survey that Governor DeSantis sent us last week. So we will know, and maybe they will implement different options after all this time of crisis is coming up. So we need to know the input about you guys, about what is happening.
Okay, and we want to give a shout out to Keith G, our normal co-host. So I see that you're able to at least say hello, and Denny Watkins is on with us today. We have Kevin Chancellor. He will be speaking in the next half an hour, but we have Johnette Gindling. So we will turn this over to Johnette. And thank you so much for joining us. We truly, really appreciate you taking your time out, I'm sure, with the Brevard County Health or the Space Coast Health Foundation, that you are just being overwhelmed with calls and that. So thank you for taking the time to join us.
Absolutely. Pleasure to be here. Thank you.
And we will change it over. I think, do you have your camera on so that we can switch the camera around to you?
We do have our camera on.
Yeah, we're not seeing you.
We don't see you.
Okay. You want to try getting full screen first, just to see if that will do it.
Yeah, we're hearing you. We just don't see you, and it's, you know, to look at us but hear your voice will be a little.
Sorry about that.
No, that's okay.
Your public is acclaiming you.
We're going to go get transitioned to figure out why we're not. You're not seeing us.
Oh, okay, no worry. Well, sometimes, I mean, I have the little security feature that I slide across, so, you know, that people aren't watching me while I'm working, which I don't think is happening anyway, but yeah, sometimes I forget to slide that back across when we are trying to stream, but.
Yes, we're on a system in our boardroom, so it's not my desk computer, otherwise I might know how to fix that, but I don't on this system.
Oh, no problem. Well, is there, you know, we're thrilled to have you. So I know that you wanted to talk a little bit, and I know Rob Rains did. We haven't seen Rob join us yet.
Rob's here. Rob's here also. He's sitting right next to me.
Oh, perfect. Okay.
Hi, Rob.
Hi, Rob. We can't see you, but hello.
I can see you guys. How are y'all today?
Perfect. Well, did you guys want to get started anyway? And while you're...
Let's go ahead and do this. We got somebody trying to work it here on this end, and so maybe we'll pop in. We want to go ahead and talk about the census first, and then go into the COVID-19 response, if that's all right.
Absolutely.
So at first, I want you to know you can't see this, but I am more than 6 feet away from the screen. So I just want to make sure that
You're not going to get any feedback from the computer, from the attendees.
Yeah, social distancing. So the census will go on. I think it's good to have a little bit of normalcy where we can. I guess the main thing that we want to share, cards are going out now. I think there's 5 million people that have completed the census, is the last I've heard. What's going to happen this year is people will get like a postcard with a number on it, a phone number, and a way to log in, and a personal code number. And so the goal is for our nation to have 60, 70, 80% of people to sign up online. And this time that's super important, because if you don't complete the census online, they'll send you a paper copy, a mail copy, like in previous years. And if you don't complete the mail copy, they're going to have somebody come to your door. And so, in this virus time, nobody wants that. So, so that's the thing that we're stressing, is that every American complete the survey. Every person. It's a couple things. It's in the Constitution. It's every 10 years since 1790. It's about fair representation. The census is used for reapportionment in the House of Representatives. So Florida should pick up some seats if everyone's counted. It's about $650 billion. So many of the funding formulas for states and counties and communities are based on census data. That's money that's spent on schools and hospitals and roads and public work and other vital programs. So super, super important. I think it's just part of your civic duty to complete the census in this time of, people are fearful for so many things and distrustful for so many things. But that's why we're having these chats and really stressing the importance to do that, because it is vitally important.
Rob, I think one of the concerns that people have, especially, let's say, undocumented workers, is that the government will then take that information and they could be in jeopardy. So what safeguards are there for people that, they fill this out and they're still safe?
So there are concerns about that, and here's the deal, is that the census, by law, the Census Bureau cannot share the data on the census with any other federal government agency at all. It's against the law for them to do that. The census is private for 72 years. 72 years from now, the census records become public for this census. So it won't be shared with ICE, it won't be shared with the Treasury Department, it won't be shared with any other. So and it is every person. It is not just citizens. We're trying. That's the way it is in the Constitution. Is to count every person in the community, and that's important again for this funding formula. The other concern that we're hearing is around privacy, and we've been assured the Census Bureau has been working and testing this for a number of years to get ready for this. That the data will be secure. That's been a top priority for the Census Bureau. As people completing that census data, that it will be totally safe and secure. So those items we hope that we're trying to stress.
And Rob, let me just add to that. One of the things, once an individual completes their census online, that information, once it's uploaded to the census, it is offline. They take it off. It's not out there, so a hacker can't get in to steal that information. It is immediately taken off once it's complete.
And we had somebody ask, what's the timeline on getting the postcards in the mail? So when should people be expecting this? I know I received my census, the paper one, and we filled it out already, but these postcards, and when should people be expecting them, or have they already gone out?
So they started delivering those postcards on March 12th, and
okay.
They're sending them out in batches. So some people, we know that over 5 million census across the U.S. have already been completed. That was as of 2 days ago. But they're going out in batches, so more and more people each day are getting the postcards. I have not received mine yet.
Okay, so is there a time when, if they haven't received it by a certain time, they should be calling to get that, or it's going to be in the next few months?
It will take over a month. Census Day is April 1st, so it will take at least 3 weeks for all those cards to get out to the households.
Okay, so if they don't have it by the end of April, then they should call, you suggest?
I would suggest they go to the census.gov website,
okay.
And there's a contact there for you to send it out.
Okay, so census.gov is the website that they should be utilizing for this.
Correct.
Great.
Let me add, when Johnette was talking about they take the information out. So here's the sequencing. Is if you get the card in the mail, the postcard in the mail, and you complete the census online, they also take you out of the follow-up response. So if you're environmentally concerned, and you sign up right away and complete your census right away, because they won't send you the mailed survey. And if you as soon as you complete the census online, if you haven't completed the other form, they won't send anybody to your house. So the idea is get it, fill it out as quickly as possible, and then you're done, and you won't be getting any, because it's instantaneous when you do it online. They take you out of the system for follow-up. Before, when it was all mailing, somebody might have completed the census and mailed it in, but they were still it just crossed the mail, somebody's coming to your house. But that's one of the advantages of this system of completing online. They just take you out and they don't mail you or come visit you.
So Rob, and I don't know if I introduced you because people are still not seeing you guys. So on Chamber Chat with us is Johnette Gindling, and she is the Executive Director of the Space Coast Health Foundation. And we have Rob Rains, the Executive Director from the United Way of Brevard County. So Rob, can you tell us a little bit about the impact of the census, like what it really, you got into it a bit, but I know you had discussions before of how much Brevard County leaves on the table when they're not filling out the census. So what are the repercussions and how much more could this mean for Brevard County when people are filling it out?
Well, I know that breaking it down to Brevard County, I know this, that there was an undercount, the projected undercount for 0 to 4-year-olds in the last census in 2010. And that undercounting across the state of Florida cost us between $60 and $70 million a year, money that would have gone for services for birth through 4. So that if we don't count everybody in county in our state, we definitely lose money. And it's money for roads, it's money for schools, it's money for different kinds of social services. So it's super critical. And it's also, for business planning. Businesses decide to locate their businesses. A lot of times use census data where people are concentrated or where they're looking to target their products and services. So it's so critical to get that information in there correct.
Oh, that's great. And is there, anything that the business community can do or to get more of this out? I know you're trying to speak at different functions to let people understand the importance of this. I think there is that concern from some of the public that don't understand that this is confidential, so they're hesitant to fill it out. Is there things that we can do to try and increase the number of returns for the census?
So do you want to talk about what some of the other cities and other groups are doing, and then we can talk about business as well?
Absolutely, there's ways that everyone can help. And simply by reminding people to complete their census and asking them if they've done it or encouraging them to do so is a simple way everyone can help with this. But we do also have a Correct Count Brevard Facebook site. We're posting a lot of information out there, reminders daily. Businesses can use all that information. They can post them on their internal sites. They can send them out to employees. And that is one way we're getting that information out to the community. There are yard signs, there are stickers, anything we can do. Unfortunately, with the virus right now, the gatherings that we had planned are not going to happen. And so it's even more important now that we're asking people, have you completed your census, and encouraging them to do so. So checking with your employees and asking them if they've completed it.
Okay, that sounds great. So where is the office that people could go by to pick up the yard signs or the stickers?
We have them here at United Way and the Center for Collaboration in Rockledge on US 1 in Rockledge.
Okay, perfect.
Support materials.
Okay, yeah, well, next time I'm up, I'll have to pick some out. We can stick some on the yard sign, and we'll make sure we put it on our digital sign that we have. About 25,000 cars a day go past the chamber, so we'll add, fill out your census and get that on our, something else for Carolina to do.
I have a question now that you were mentioning. For example, I know for people that are not legally fill all their papers here or there, in not a very well manner. Do they need to be afraid or think that this is something that is going to, I think that they can be regularly in their cases, but about the census is something that the message can go for them as well, they need to fill these documents.
They should complete the census, but they do not need to worry about it. There was at a point that immigration presence were going to be on the census. They are not. I want to be clear, they're not on the census. That information is not asked for. And as Rob said earlier, no government agency can use any of this data or even have access to this data to use it. So it is very safe for them to complete their census.
Okay. And another question, because now that we have all these cases that people are going to hospitals or they need to move to another places, if they receive their cards in their homes, but unfortunately they are not at home, is there a timeline for, to fill out the information, or maybe they don't know that they can go to a website? Because we have a lot of people that don't have that access. So
we certainly have several months to complete the census. They would like to have it complete by this summer, but it's not as if you've got 2 days once you get your card, or even a week. You've got a couple months. The sooner you get it done, the better, of course, but you don't have to worry about that. You will have time to get it complete.
And they will, if you don't get the card, there will be a mailer like has been done in previous years. And if you don't respond to the mailer, they're going to send somebody to your door and try and track you down to get that census completed. It's a massive project that's done every 10 years.
Right. Wow. Wow. Well, that was great information. Is there anything else that you'd like to contribute? Because we do have, about 9 minutes. Shout out to Beverly Squire Wiggins we see online. Was there any questions?
We don't have questions on Facebook, but we want to say hello to Ali Trisophone.
Yeah.
We want to say hello to Wayne Price, Annie Wendell, Christine Walker, and Susan Houts.
Oh, cool.
That they are connected with us through Facebook.
Yeah, we often find that more people see it through Facebook. So unfortunately for those watching on Facebook, you are not seeing Johnette or Rob Rains on here. But Johnette, do you have anything now to, because you're with the Health Foundation, Space Coast Health Foundation, are there any resources or on your site information that people can access or recommendations you have to deal with COVID-19? Are there any suggestions that you can provide for the watchers?
Obviously, COVID-19 is a fluctuating and quickly moving action around this for our nation and our world, and we are certainly following all the CDC and the Department of Health. Those are the two sites that we're using even here at the Health Foundation. We're not deviating. Those are the sources. They have the preventative information. They have the updates on cases in our community, and so I absolutely encourage people, those are the sites that you should be looking at for the latest information.
Okay. And I think a lot of people feel that, Brevard County, there's only been one confirmed case. I mean, they kind of are taking this, we're bombarded by it, but still, taking it fairly casually, I think, until, the governor is starting to shut down bars and that type of thing. So is there some suggestions that, like for us, our big concern is we do have a lot of small businesses that are restaurants that are absolutely concerned with the impact this is going to have. And I know there's no magic wand, and this is just going to be a process that we have to, deal with, and nobody knows how long it's going to last. But, is there, I don't know.
Any positive things?
Yes, please.
Yes, light and
Yeah, let me address that. Johnette and the Space Coast Health Foundation, Teresa Grimson, and the Community Foundation Brevard and United Way are partnering up on a COVID-19 disaster response fund. We are looking to come together and figure out exactly how we'll utilize that fund. As Johnette said, this is a fast-moving situation. As you mentioned, Nancy, it has not. I think you're seeing more and more of it in Brevard County now, with bars closing and people less and less restaurants. The service sector employees are going to be hit hard. We're still looking to see what kind of package that the federal government will put together. We're seeing them looking at trying to get relief to workers like this, and not just the industry. And but even with that, there's going to be people that are going to be in need, and there are going to be agencies in need. So we are working. A survey is being conducted of the different social service agencies that United Way funds, and the Space Coast Health Foundation, and the Community Foundation funds, to see what kind of impact on those services. So I saw you were talking to Susan Houts, did a shout out, talked with her boss Josh at Aging Matters. They serve 900 seniors a day.
Right.
600 Meals on Wheels are delivered, and those are seniors getting the meals, and a lot of times they're seniors delivering the meals. Those are at-risk folks. So we're working with them on how they can get as things slow down, how to respond best to that. So there's some some different solutions there, and down the line with different not-for-profits helping people that are in need and helping workers that may become in need. We're building plans, and we'll be asking people to be supportive, and if they need help, trying to figure out the best way to help them.
That sounds great. I know the Sharing Center said it was with a heavy heart that they were having to close, and that is a resource for so many citizens in Brevard County. So, you know, that's kind of a concern when your fallback organizations are not able to stay open. So,
the South Brevard Sharing Center, it's not closing, they're closing their services. They're going to still be feeding people, is my understanding. People can come and get food, or their pantry, they can go through the parking lot and get food. They're not having people come in. The Census and Sharing Center is going to remain open for their services, but they're not doing congregate there. They do a daily meal, and they're going to continue to serve, but it'll be just like in restaurants, people will be picking that food up and other services. And people are just, like every business, everybody's having to adapt to this social distancing, and
right.
But still, people are hungry, people are in need. We got to figure out a way to continue to provide services to them.
So is that their daily bread portion where they're actually feeding people meals, the hot meals? Then that's once again they're going to have people are going to have to take it to go, or
we're trying to get but that's the case. Most of the feeding sites are going to continue, and you know, obviously we're very concerned about school children that we're getting lunch, and the school district is doing an admirable job of trying to figure out how they're going to provide that. The state's opening their summer feeding spots. You know, there's I think a lot of people, I think last week were figuring out what they were going to do, how they were going to handle their businesses, having their employees work remotely. And now this week is a lot about looking beyond internally and externally. How is this affecting other people, and how can we help and mitigate and continue to serve those in need?
Oh, that's great. And I know Aging Matters is definitely looking for drivers for Meals on Wheels, because they're, you know, a shortage before all this, and now it's much more difficult for them to get the meals out to the seniors. So if anybody listening has an hour that they can spend, or an hour and a half, it's definitely helping our seniors, which are, I think, one of the biggest concerns during this pandemic.
I wanted to comment that Kichi, that is connected with us today, he mentioned that they're going to deliver, for example, the Children's Hunger Project that are distributing food for kids. They are going to drop all those meals at certain schools so the kids are able to pick them up, I mean, any day. So, I mean, it's still some changes that are coming up for all businesses and community, but we just need to adjust and continue following the instructions and helping when we can, because definitely there are a lot of people in need, and I mean, definitely we need to be that support. And now that we are connecting through our online part here in the chamber, we want to communicate that massively with our contacts.
Yeah, thanks. On the Meals on Wheels front, I mean, in so many of these things, there's some logistics, because you have to get like a level 1 background check to deliver meals. So we're looking at ways to expedite that and fund that. So there's a lot of things that you don't think about that need to happen, and we're looking to figure out what those are and resolve them and continue to serve people.
Wow. Well, that's great. I know you have a lot on your plate since you work with so many nonprofits, and they all are trying to serve the community as much as possible when you have social distancing and the other challenges and getting resources and that. So
we have a couple of comments here on Facebook. I would want to say hello to Laureen Trent. Yeah. Penny Harrop is asking if she can go to the beach.
Go to the beach?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, because I know Miami Beach and some of the others were closing down. As far as I know, I don't think Brevard beaches have closed. Have you heard anything, Rob?
I have not.
No.
Okay.
Wear sunscreen if you go.
Right, I know. I'm thinking the beach is probably the safest place to go.
Because,
yeah, just make sure you're not close to anybody, and you'll be on your own little, it should be fine.
Right. And Susan is saying that if somebody wants to volunteer for Meals on Wheels, can call Mark Mercado at 321-806-3767. So if somebody that is listening this now or later can contact this person. And they said that there are opportunities to help at the seniors lunch sites. So they need whoever wants to support the Brevard senior nutrition programs. So
that's great. And we'll keep sending things out as we get it. Our Facebook page is really the immediate information. So any final words before we turn over to Kevin Chancellor?
No, thank you for having us.
Absolutely.
Oh, no, thank you, Johnette. Thank you, Rob. We really appreciate the information. We'll get information to have here at the chamber. I'll get a yard sign that we can put out as people go by. And whatever we can do to support, we'll make sure that we are checking your website for updates as well and getting that out to our members. So thank you both for the great information that you provided today, and we'll be in touch.
Thank you.
thank you.
Thanks. So we now have Kevin Chancellor, and Kevin is Edward Jones, and he is just a terrific guy who has had a number of trainings for the chamber and provides information for members that are going to help them. And I think, as we see these sell-offs with stock and the stock market going up and down, there is that concern that, what do you do? And so we want to welcome him and thank him for coming. We're trying to get his picture coming up.
Things like he's trying to connect with another browser. If we can give him a couple of seconds.
Oh, there we go.
Is.
Yay! Okay, so no technical difficulties this time. We'll be able to turn this over to Kevin, and so he's just going to give us I don't even know, Kevin. I'm sure that this is, none of us have experienced anything like this, and there's no crystal ball, but I'm hoping that you will provide some guidance or direction for some of our members. And if you want to, we're just seeing not all of you, just a little part of your head. I'm not sure if you can turn your screen a little bit down and then, or be taller. Can you hear us? Kevin? Kevin, do you hear us? We see you. We're trying to, we've got it turned to you. Do you have yours on mute? Did we unmute him? Kevin?
He's okay.
Kevin?
I think that he's connecting. Just give him a couple of seconds and we will be
okay
with him because he's trying to change the browser.
Okay.
Yes, Beth, we are trying to, he's just changing some of the technical things in his computer, so we will see him in a couple of seconds. He was connected all the time, but
yeah,
fortunately when you need to talk, it's the right exact moment when things doesn't work.
Okay, so are you hearing us, Kevin? Wave, a little high five. Nope, he's got that.
The phone.
Oh, you can hear us or you can't hear us? Okay.
He's going to try over the phone, seems like.
Okay. Well, are we going to hear him over the phone, though?
He should connect to our page.
So can you, I think he said he can hear us. So is there anything we can tell him to, how he can connect?
Maybe he's going to the phone. I just make some. All right.
Huh. Well, we can always reschedule if need be, although he's there and we see him. I'm just not sure that we're hearing him. I think he's in his garage. That looks like a garage door opener behind him.
Yeah.
That's a very nice stand, though, to be in the garage, that white one.
Okay.
Well, until we can get Kevin on, I hope that you've been checking our Facebook posts. We do have a number of information from the CDC that's come out. Of course, everybody knows the social distancing that everybody has been talking about. They've now got it down to 10 people, trying to not be in a group of more than 10 people. I'm sure that'll be isolationists and just staying in your home eventually, but we don't know. However, for those businesses, I mean, I think that's the concern is if you have a restaurant or your bowling alleys or Club 52, Melbourne Greyhound, or the movie theaters, you know, where restaurants where people are congregating and now they're wanting them to, you know, I know some of the movie theaters have already closed or are closing. So, oh, looks like we got him back. Did we get him?
Let's see if we have him here.
It's got him muted though.
Yeah. Let me see.
You got me now?
Oh, we have you now.
Yes.
Woohoo!
Okay, perfect.
Here, 1 second.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, that's the worst of the problem. So, you know, I saw a lot of lip movement, but did not have any
Oh, you couldn't hear
audio.
us?
So I have no idea how y'all started this. Again, so, but first I want to say thank you for having me on and
Thank
looking
you,
at
Kev.
And if you can see, my firm has quarantined me because I was on a cruise to the Bahamas, and they asked me politely if I would work remotely from home. So it's been very busy in my neck of the woods, that's for sure. A lot of client concerns, a lot of just people calling in to get reassurances, and a lot of people calling to just get guidance. Because when I tell people when they come in my office, in up markets, I'm your champion and we're having a great time. But in down markets, I become a coach. And so I've been doing a lot of coaching here lately on what's going on in the economy, what's going on with the markets, and what coronavirus has done to our markets, as well as what opportunities are available, as well as what precautions and what advice would I give you, you know, to help mitigate the sting from some of the portfolios going down. So first, just to put things in perspective, you know, there's been a lot of collective information done on what has epidemics done to markets, and you know, they're all kind of common. This has happened in the past before, and these sell-off behaviors are very common in the markets. And quite frankly, it's been kind of an opportunity for smart investors. Now, if you're the ones panicking, saying, let's throw it into cash, and, you know, I hope that if you're listening to this, we can give some guidance on why that's not a good idea. But just prior information on these types of things, that these are very short-lived. Now, short-lived meaning, you know, in a long-term objective and a long-term goal perspective, you know, this could be a few months, this could be a month, this could be half a year. But what we think is we have a good financial footing. We had one coming into 2018. There was nothing financial that's causing this downturn. This is a health crisis, not a financial crisis. So we have good financial foundations to spring back forward once cases start to subside. You know, things start to get under control. Right now, people are scared, and I get that. But you know, some of the panic we've had on this from a financial perspective is it's very unwise to let these short-term, you know, instances dictate your long-term objectives. And that's what people need to keep in perspective. When you look at, you know, where were we at in 2008 when everybody was panicking? The markets fell 50%, you know, in 2008. The S&P was down 50%. You know, when we look at the pullback that this recent bear market has caused, we're still back basically where we were in 2017. And I've had so many clients tell me, man, I wish I would have invested back in 2017 when the markets were great. Well, now here's your chance. Mm-hmm. So we do think, yeah, it's causing a lot of pain in people's portfolios. But at the same time, if you're in high quality, if you focus on the long-term objective, if you focus on your long-term goals and not listen to the short-term media, don't let the media dictate what your long-term objectives are. If you can focus on the long-term, then this will just be another bump in the road, another downturn in the portfolio, but it will overcome. Markets have always overcome. And another thing to put people in perspective is, you know, they've gone to Walmart to buy their toilet paper, even if it wasn't available. Okay, well, is Walmart going away? Is Procter & Gamble or Kimberly-Clark or Johnson & Johnson technology to have this webinar, as we're using technology to, Fox News and some of the other stations owned by Disney to give us some information on this coronavirus on the news. You have to understand that these companies are much larger than this short-term volatility. So what it does, though, is provide opportunities for people to now buy these companies and buy these investments at a more valuable, price. And this is where a good, smart investor would use any available cash to provide opportunities to put money into their IRAs or their individual investment accounts and to invest in their future while everybody else is panicking.
So now with, when they said that, I don't know, it was about 46% of the population didn't have an extra $400 to deal with a short crisis that comes up. I mean, I think that's one of the big concerns is it's just basic needs, like to get through. I know we have the banks are saying to come see them first. I know I just had mentioned about Governor Ron DeSantis activating the emergency bridge loan, but the local banks and credit unions are saying, please go to them first. You have a relationship with them. Know you, so go locally before you right away jump to this bridge loan, because they can often really help the local business or person. Remember when we were talking before about the chamber and making sure that we had a cushion that for 3, 6, 9 months. I mean, I know that it's kind of too late now if you haven't done some planning, but do you have any suggestions for some of those people?
Of course, people come to me all the time. They want to invest in IRAs and all that. The first question I always ask is, do you have an emergency cash savings? And you're right, that is the biggest downfall I see in smart investors. They want to put so much money in 401ks. They want to put so much money in IRAs. Or they want to jump to the stock or jump to the bond. But what happens is they don't have a cash reserve. And where do they wind up pulling money from? The investments that they wanted to grow over time, and sometimes could face penalties for taking out early out of their 401ks or IRAs. So it winds up shooting them in the foot. So anybody that I speak with, I put them on a cash management plan first, which is, that's why I do a 3 months, 6 months, 1 year, based on a person's individual needs or a business's individual needs. What to do now is, don't waste your money on things that are really unnecessary to get us through this.
Right.
When I see people hoarding up on hundreds and hundreds of dollars of things that will probably, they won't use over the long time, I'm like, how did that get paid for?
Right.
Now, if you are a smart, financial, investor and you have that emergency cash savings, really and truly, those people are taking advantage of this opportunity. They're taking advantage of downturns. But if buy what you need, but don't overstock, especially if you're on, no savings and you have that credit card, because once you go down that road, it's tough.
Okay, we have actually a question. Beverly has, hi Kevin, great to see you and hear from you. This is Beverly Squires Wiggins. Should we be directing our financial advisor to buy stocks in the airlines, cruise lines, etc.?
So that's a loaded question, Beverly, and I do appreciate it.
Very precise.
You should be directing your financial advisor to look at your portfolio, rebalance where the opportunities are necessary. Now, if those individual stocks work well in your overall long-term objective and your long-term goals, then they're attractively valued if they're a good quality company. There's a lot of good quality companies out there, though, and you just want to make sure that you're not doing one investment that kind of puts your at a risk. And what I mean by that, if you have all these mutual funds in your 401k and those mutual funds are heavily weighted in Apple, well, why would you want to buy Apple stock? So your financial advisor needs to look at your overall picture before they really should be making a recommendation of, hey, this is a great stock to buy. Now, there are companies out there that I have put in my own personal portfolio, but I follow my same rules. I say, will this go well for me. Now, cruise lines, airlines, I mean, those are, yeah, they're hit hard, but so is technology companies, so is financial services. Disney was hit hard, and it's a communications company. So there's value. You just want to make sure that what you choose and what your financial advisor is recommending to you fits your long-term objective and your overall portfolio picture.
Well, that sounds great. Thanks, Kevin. Are there suggestions for people to, because you're right, some of them panic, they see this sell off, they call their financial planner right away and start shedding things that are dropping like a stone, not thinking that this is going to come back or this has happened, as you say, in the past, and, eventually it comes back, and, and they're kind of taking this loss. What are your thoughts on that? I mean, in terms of, I know you said you have to look at the long term, and it really is what your overall objective is, but people buy into the panic and the fear, and, and because when it goes cyclical and you've been through it before and lost, a lot of your life savings, it's almost like, oh, here we go again, I'm pulling out this time. So.
Well, sell is a 4-letter word in this. I mean, you really don't realize a loss until you've sold. So, this is all figurative money over here. People are emotionally tied to their money. And I so get that because, when people come into my office, especially, I really care about how they came about it. It either represents time of their life that they spent or a loved one that may have passed and they've received an inheritance. So there's an emotional attachment to this money. So what I try to tell people in this downturn is, I try to make an analogy of us being on a long road trip. I said, for these last few years, we've been on open highways, in the sunshine, on cruise control, going 85. Now, here's the thing. You can do that all day long in pretty much any type of vehicle, but I put you in a high quality vehicle. And so when we get to those wrecks, when we get to those thunderstorms that slow traffic down, we're not going to abandon our vehicle and run and turn around and say we're going to walk from here. We're going to just trudge through because you're in quality. We're in a Cadillac. We're not in a Kia. So it's, no offense to Kia, but quality. Yeah, well, quality in these times. If you can if you can just emphasize that if you're in a high quality portfolio, it will turn around. And yes, we're in that thunderstorm that's backed up by a wreck right now. So don't we always get through it? And now we're back on open highway again and the sun comes out. And if you look historically at what the markets have done, they always do that. Yes, we're in a bad time right now, but were we as bad as 2008? No. We're back down to like 2017, maybe a little later, 2016. And people weren't as scared even in 2018 when we finished and we had a loss. Cash was the king in 2018 from October to December when we were in a trade war with China. It wasn't as panicky, but we finished in a down market. We finished where cash won the game in 2018, all because of October through December. So if they can just focus on, are they in a good quality, diversified portfolio? Because diversification is key. If you have fixed income in your portfolio right now, it's helped offset some of these losses that stocks have been causing.
Right.
And that's the opportunities that financial advisors need to find for their clients. They need to rebalance, peel off some of those gains, peel off some of those earnings there, and buy these equities when they're lower. And that's what you should be doing.
Okay, we had another question. The stock market, it's been booming. I mean, and so is the housing market. So what do you think might be the effect on the housing market since, I don't want to say trickle down. And here in Brevard County, we do have a housing shortage in terms of the number of people that are looking compared to those that, that are out there. But when financial crisis kind of hit, we seem to see more foreclosures and that type of thing. What do you think might be the impact of this?
Well, you mentioned something that I had talked about. This is not a financial crisis. This is a health crisis. The federal government already gave a stimulus package, the $700 billion to help, the quantitative easing a little bit. They also cut the interest rates. So they put a little fuel in the engine of this economy. And once this goes, we feel that it's going to make a strong recovery. So our firm feels that it won't affect the housing market as much. People are still able to pay their bills.
Okay.
We haven't seen what we saw in 2008, where we've gone months and months and months, over a year of, and that was a fundamental problem that happened that caused a financial crisis. This is a health crisis. So with the stimulus that the federal government is incorporating into the economy right now, I really feel that our housing market's still going to be strong once we recover from this.
Great.
Yeah, but what about, for example, the people, if bars and restaurants and a lot of business are going to be closed and they are not working and they don't have enough money to pay their bills, that is not going to be like an issue if they need to pay mortgage or something? I mean,
yeah, there is going to be an issue, and that's where, I mean, that's where going back to good fundamental sound planning comes in. That's where I say these, you can't live off credit. You have to have a cash reserve. And also for business owners that are operating some of the restaurants and things like that, that's where the stimulus package is going. And as Nancy said, some of these local institutions, they want you to come talk to them, develop a relationship. You have a relationship with them. And that's where you need to focus on, trying to work out things locally and then look at the federal government. But yeah, that's why even when I'm working with business owners, whether they own a restaurant or a construction company, I say, what does your cash position look like for instances like this? And even budgeting is a big issue. A lot of where I find that we have the issue and why people can't save up for these things is the budget. And there has probably been 99.9% of all budgets I've looked at has had some excess spending in it that could have been used to develop a emergency savings, even on people that did not make a lot of money. These weren't six-figure jobs. These were hourly workers that we found openings in their budgets for, to be able to save for an emergency cash. It may take them longer, but they can still do it.
We have some people that is thanking you, Kevin, that you are here with us. One of those are PK, that is watching our video through Facebook and is thanking you for being here. Tom Macarello joined after you made the comment, before you made the comment about the Kias. So he said that is no very good analogy about the cars.
I know, it's not a very good analogy, because here's the thing. I had a Kia Forte, and that was one of my best cars ever. So, it has the alliteration to it, the K sound. But no, actually, you're right. I mean, it's not a good analogy, but what I mean by that is you have to be in a good quality vehicle that's not like a junker, that's not got, engine leaks in it, oil problems, or you have to, because there's a lot of investments out there that put a lot of undue risk to get kind of the returns that they get. And you don't really see, they look great in a bull market. They look great when the economy is doing well and there's low volatility. It's times like this that really separate the high quality investments from the ones that just try to, maybe smaller companies that just try, or mutual fund companies that try to put a lot of risk on a portfolio just to get a better return so that they can get more people to invest in. And that's quality will always trump, short-term, opportunities.
Tom said that he forgave you.
I appreciate that, Tom.
Thank you, Tommy. Thank you for understanding us.
We also have some question about, a lot of people and businesses not having cash reserves. The cash flow is one of the things actually we find with new businesses is that they think of all the maybe amount of money they have to outlay for permits and building and renovations and getting started, but they don't really think about cash flow and how much they should have in reserve, because new businesses, the customers aren't flocking in the door right away. You have to market and advertise and get yourself out there. And so I think our concern is a lot of the new businesses that have opened, or the number of businesses that really don't have the cash reserves for a long period of shutdown, And
that's where, you really have to, I mean, and personally speaking, my wife, she's about to celebrate her 1-year anniversary for her business. And, and that was the first thing we talked about. We said, look, everything we make above and beyond, just hoard it and hoard it so she can go through these next couple of months. You start small. It's not a matter of you having immediately 6 months after your first big sale or your first big business, but you start small. If you can get the first month, you can get the second month. The new businesses, some, unfortunately, some are a victim of circumstance, are going to be a victim of just getting started and this happens.
Right.
And there's really no way around that other than working out a relationship with their financial institutions for maybe a short-term business loan, things like that to get them through and so they can get established. Because you're right, to start a business is a lot of money, and especially with the advertising to get your name out there. But I'm referring more to established businesses that are finding themselves in a bind right now because, they had a false sense of security that the economy was doing very well and people were going to continue and nothing like this was going to happen. Those are the ones that, I hate to say this, but, told you so. This is why you need to have those cash reserves on hands. And those are operating expenses. They cover operating expenses. If you have to borrow from permitting or if you have to borrow from something, then you may have to. But, it's still the first question I ask on everything.
And do you have a checklist for somebody looking for, they're saying, an ethical financial advisor? Are there some questions that they should ask if they're looking for a new financial advisor that are important depending on their answers?
Yeah, of course. The first question, at least in my office, I never talk about products or services in the first appointment. We talk about it, I call it the discovery phase. So we're finding out a little bit about you. They need to be focused on what's important to you. Where do you want to be? That needs to be the first conversation. If you have somebody that automatically just puts out a solution for you without really knowing your whole financial picture yet, then that can throw up a red flag for me. You have to have a comprehensive, holistic financial advisor. If someone only offers one type of service, that may mean that their license doesn't cover the gamut of financial investing. So what do I mean by that? There are some, companies that can only offer insurance-based products or, annuities, things like that. And not to say that they don't fit a need for certain people, but if that's the only thing they can offer, then you may need to look at somebody else. You need to have somebody that is interested and does more listening than they do talking, and someone who is also going to treat you as if you're the only client in their branch. And if you can find someone that does that, then I think you found a good one, and someone who's not afraid to answer the call in times like these. They don't give you the runaround. They're proactive during these times. They put out, messages via emails, via text, via call, just to keep clients informed. You also want to find out a little bit about the company that they work for. What is their track record? If they have taken a large amount of bailouts, you want to ask them why. You also want to find out and make sure your financial advisor explains to you clearly how they get paid on every type of transaction you do. And you also want to find out if they have choices. Some people like a commission-based account. Some people like an annual fee-based account. You have to let your client choose how they want to pay for things. So if you get kind of, forced into a program or a platform, then you have to really ask why. And then you want to also know the difference between best interest and suitability standards versus fiduciary. It's a big topic right now. And what does that mean to do one way of investing versus another? What does it mean to have a best interest standard, which is the federal standard right now? And what does it mean to have a fiduciary standard? And what are the trade-offs and pros and cons of each? And you need to have a financial advisor that's willing to explain this to you.
We have a last question, but I don't know if we have time. Maybe in 30 seconds, Kev. It's from Thomas Redman. He's asking, what is the safest area of stocks right now? Technology or others?
Well, I mean, every stock, safest area, I mean, that's a loaded question too, because every different economic situation is going to produce the winners and losers in the stock market. Of course, right now, people love defensive stocks that are utilities, they're paying those dividends and things like that. Fixed income is a good, is going well right now, but you really don't need to focus on what's the safest. You really need to focus on the goal and the long-term objective. Right. Because if you were to say, hey, because it's safe right now, that's you trying to time the market. And Warren Buffett says it best, the market has a tendency to transfer wealth from the impatient to the patient over time. And so just be patient. Make sure you're in quality to begin with, and you don't have to worry about it. Make sure your advisors are rebalancing your portfolios and taking advantage of these opportunities.
Well, thank you, Kevin. We certainly appreciate your time today. It was great information. I'm sure you'll be getting some calls, but we truly appreciate, being able to provide information to our members and the community at large. I think, with the stock market dropping 3,000 points in one day and then up and then down, it's a pretty frightening time to kind of see this. So having that voice of reason is always, I think, the best way to make decisions. So I think it sounds like it's important for everybody to meet with, if they have a financial planner, to meet with your financial planner, to look at your own portfolio and go over things. And I know Kevin is right here in Palm Bay on Port Malabar Road. So we certainly appreciate all this great information. Come into the chamber or call us. We can definitely forward all his credentials and emails and numbers to get in touch with him, and join us tomorrow. So our next chamber chat is going to have our Florida Representative Randy Fine. I think he'll be talking about a lot that the Florida government is doing to assist businesses and the communities with COVID-19, and maybe giving us an update on the legislative session, which really just came to an end, and what we can look forward to. But we thank you all for joining us. We'll continue to have, this is a regularly scheduled time, but we're going to continue to bring you more chamber chats as we get people scheduled, because we think this information is important. We're trying to make sure that we're giving positive and correct information rather than panicky and not substantiated information. So thank you all for joining us, and we'll hope to see you tomorrow at 2 o'clock with Florida Representative Randy Fine. I want to thank our guests again, Kevin Chancellor with Edward Jones. We had Johnette with the Space Coast Health Foundation, Rob Rains with United Way, my co-host Carolina Rojas, and I'm Nancy Peltonen. Thank you all for joining us.
Thank you.